Okay, so you've had a chance with your group to go through all the steps to really examine this sample paragraph. And I'm going to jump around a little bit and do it in the order that makes most sense for me right now, but you guys follow along and think about what you said compared to what I'm saying. So the first thing you were asked to do was identify the claim statement. And on this one, when I copied it, I actually made an accident. The question isn't really a question. The question on this one actually is a claim statement. And so this claim statement says the environment of the New England colonies influenced the economy of the region. It's a nice basic claim statement. What they had done was the original question had said, let's see, get a different color here. The original question was, how did, and you can see they took those words, how did, off, they capitalized the T, and they made this the environment of the New England colonies influence, and this word was missing from the original question, and they changed this from a question mark to a period. So this had originally been a question mark. But you can see how you can take a question and turn it into a claim statement. And yet in the paragraph, the writer, me, used a different claim statement. The environment of the New England colonies caused the colonists to focus on trade and the Atlantic Ocean for their economy. And the difference between these two is how specific it is. So the second one is the edited version. And what you have right here is you have specific detail. Instead of being general and saying it influenced the economy, I told you exactly what the influence was. I told you how it affected the economy. And so now the reader, when looking at this topic sentence, knows exactly what they're going to be learning. They're going to be learning about the nature or environment of the New England colonies and how that caused the colonies to focus on trade and use the Atlantic Ocean. So this is stronger. Up here, this one, probably a 5-6. This one, a 7-8. So then you are asked to identify the difference between outside information, so information you might get from your notes, versus information that the person pulled from the documents. And it's easiest for me right now to start with the documents. And if I start with the documents, this fact came from a document. And I know that because, look at period, document 1. And this fact came from a document, period, document 2. It just works out that when I was writing, it made sense to use document 1 before document 2, but you can use the documents in any order. The other thing you should notice is how the sentence is written. You were asked, did the person copy a quote? No, they didn't. And that's because usually you shouldn't copy a quote. The only time you should copy an exact quote is if what is in the document is so awesome, so powerful, that it would be a shame to change the words. The best example I could think of is during the American Revolution, a colonist named Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." That's a really strong statement. And if you were to write about that and you were to summarize it and say, well, a colonist said he would rather be dead than be a member of the British colonies, doesn't have the same impact as if you had used an exact quote. But the truth is, in the documents you got today, in the documents you're going to get on your assessment tomorrow, there's nothing that strong, that awesome, that you should use an exact quote. You should save that for the wow moment. Also notice that they don't start the sentence with, in document 1, it says, let's look at what that would look like. In document 1, it says, a person could learn the trades of cabinet making, shipwright, cobbler, and carpenter. We don't want to do this. And you don't want to do this, 1, because it's very basic writing. 2, documents don't actually talk, so they can't say anything. And 3, it's the Nike rule. Don't tell someone you're going to do it, just do it. So you just take that out and you leave your sentence there. Okay, so what that means is everything else is outside information. Everything else, all of this, all of this, and you could choose to include the concluding sentence or not, is really information that they got from their notes. And so the proportion here, there's way more information and explanation from the notes than the documents. And that's because the documents are only there to support and to prove, to strengthen your original argument. When you looked at the rubric, it said they were integrated, meaning they were woven in seamlessly, that you made a choice as to the best document, the most effective document that will create your argument. So make sure that you have a lot of outside information when you write tomorrow. The other thing I asked you to look at was your vocabulary. What vocab words were included in here? And truthfully, it's a little embarrassing what was actually included in here. Atlantic Ocean was in there. Economy was in there. Harbors, subsistence farming, and triangle trade. And that's it. And if you look at this list, certainly there's words in this list that don't belong. However, there's a lot of words in this list that would have been ridiculously easy for the author, me, to include. Agriculture, artisan, export, import, infertile, super easy to include. Also possible to include, but maybe not as super easy. We could have done apprentice. I could have included manufactured goods. And so now in the editing process, you would want to go back to your paragraph. That was your step 7. Go back and improve it. And you take some of these words and you'd be like, okay, where would I put them so that it would make my writing stronger? So let's see, the environment of the New England colonies provided settlers with rocky, right there, natural, infertile soil and a very short growing season. How about new sentence? As a result, colonists in this region did not focus on commercial farming, period. Like the South did. Ooh, so now I made a comparison to another colony. I worked in commercial farming, which we wouldn't have normally thought would fit in this paragraph. And I showed some higher level thinking. I'm still looking for that word agriculture. Those who did try to farm, practice subsistence farming. I could do comma or agriculture. Sorry about my spelling. And were only able to produce enough to feed their families. Okay, so I just now have agriculture in there. I put in, where is it? Commercial farming. There we go. I was able to put commercial farming in. Let's see what we can do about this import-export manufactured goods, because there is a good spot for that. Right down here, as a result, trade using the Atlantic Ocean became very important. In order to take advantage of the ocean and resources available to them, trade routes such as the triangle trade developed. Ha-ha, here we go. The New England colonies exported items such as rum and imported items such as manufactured goods. 2 more in there, and that just talks about my trade being stronger. What else do I have that I might want to include that just makes sense? I think this artisans. And the reason I think artisans is right here. A person who could learn the trades of cabinet making, shipwright, cobbler, and carpenter. A person could learn. I think right here, okay, these trades were all accomplished by people considered to be artisans And I could say who often lived in towns, or I even could add another sentence. Because farming was so unsuccessful, artisans often took apprentices to learn their trade. And you can see how I can just use this list to start making my paragraph longer and better. So something I want you to try tomorrow. All right, we did step 5, step 6. Grade it. Okay. Ideally, the grade you gave here before the edits we just made, probably that's a high 6, the before. After the edits we just made, we're at most likely an 8, maybe a low 8. I'd have to go back and reread it once again because we just made some changes. But that's what your goal is, and this is what we want your paragraph to look like tomorrow, only not quite as colorful. So when you finished watching this video, in a minute, whoever is subbing for me is going to hand out your homework. Your homework has you start your assessment for tomorrow. So you're going to get a packet that looks very similar to the one you have on New England Colonies, except the key thing is it tells you the new region we're doing. You are going to write about the South. Your homework tonight, it says so on the board. Brainstorm. What do we already know? I want you to do this part. All right. This is your homework. And use your page 5. Oh my gosh, your page 5 is awesome for this brainstorming. Help you get through it quickly, but also make sure that it's accurate because your page 5 was pretty awesome. And then you are going to do the 3 documents. So you're going to annotate. Remember, you have to mark it up. You have to put comments around it, associate vocabulary words with it, answer the 2 questions. Annotate document 2, comments, vocabulary words, answer the 2 questions. Annotate document 3, I want to see arrows, comments, circles. Answer the 2 questions. Stop. That's where your homework ends. Honestly, brainstorming, annotating, and answering questions should only take 15, maybe 20 minutes. If we've timed this right, you probably have at least 10 minutes left in class. When you get this packet, because it is part of your assessment, the room should be silent. There is no more working with each other. You're in your own desks and you're working silently.